Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome back to The Voice Within. Today, I want to talk about you and me like a host of this podcast, and you like a listener. On the beginning of my motherhood journey, I was very lonely, and I have decided to start a blog. I started writing about breastfeeding and diapers. I was doing it in Bosnian language. And looking back now, I think I was doing it in Bosnian because I was terrified to show myself in English, to show myself to the wider audience, because I truly didn't believe that somebody will resonate with my message. At that time, like I said, I was talking about just mommy stuff, breastfeeding, diapers, feeding, sleeping, and so on. And then slowly, over the time, I started talking about improvement, personal development. I started talking about authenticity. I started talking about the topic, which at that time I was really terrified to talk about. Because somewhere deep inside of me, I had that narrative which says, who are you to talk about anything online? Who will listen to you? You are not some coach. You are not therapist. You just mom from the house. Who are you to have such a audacity to speak about those things online? And that voice was very loud, but still something inside of me didn't let me stop. So slowly I started talking about personal development, and I saw that the blog itself was taking a lot of time from me until I write it, until I edit it. And I realized that most of the moms, they don't have time to read. They don't have time to sit and dedicate time to the, few pages blog to learn something. This is the time when I realized I need to make my words more digestible, more accessible to everyday woman, everyday mother. They need to be able to take conversations that I'm posting online in a way that it can actually serve them. This is when I decided to start podcast. I had no idea about podcasting. I was going on the YouTube, I was Googling, trying to learn which microphone, trying to learn how to edit it, trying to learn where to host it, how to do it properly. I was so afraid and so terrified. I remember some of the few podcast episodes on the beginning, I would write word to word, and literally I was reading it, how scared I was to talk in the microphone. Even I was sitting alone in the room, my palms were sweating, heart was jumping, like I was having a huge audience in front of me and I was just alone in the room. At that time, I started in Bosnian language, and the narrative which was sitting inside of my head was, who will listen me in English? My English is not really perfect. It's not my first language. So I will just talk in my mother tongue. I will talk in Bosnian. I will just connect with the moms back home. And this will be just my own thing. And now looking back, I can see how I was protecting myself from visibility. But then after around 40 episodes, something inside of me didn't let me rest. Something inside of me was burning and saying, okay, you need to go fully English. You need to become visible to more places. People need to understand you around the world. Because with the first 40 podcast episode, I saw the women were listening. And then I thought, okay, if ladies from my country are listening, then maybe women who understand English, they will listen too. And I have to try. I was so scared and so terrified. I was even ashamed of my language on English because I don't pronounce some words properly, because I don't say the things the way they're supposed to be said. But with all of that fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of everything, I decided to go fully English and transfer my podcast to be English podcast. And during this 107 podcast episode, I have just one podcast episode which I had guests. I had interview with one friend of mine, which was in Bosnian language at the beginning of existence of this podcast. 106 podcast episodes is solely me. I never get DMs. I never get messages, maybe few of them over the 2 years. Nobody says, oh my God, your podcast helped me. So it's very hard to be in that space where you are recording, but you are not getting signal back. You don't know, does somebody is resonating with my message? Does somebody listening? Am I just talking in the air, in empty space? Or there is some signal on another side, the people who are actually listening this podcast. So I started tracking my the statistic of my podcast, and that became my signal between you and me. So I publish conversation, I let it stay for the few days, then I go in my statistics and then I see 3 downloads, 5 downloads, 20 downloads, 15 downloads, 30 downloads. Somebody is listening. I'm not talking in a thin air. Somebody on another side is pressing play week after week for 2 years. So a few days ago, I went to check my statistics again and I saw that after 2 years, my voice has traveled in 57 countries, 243 cities. And honestly, it sounds unbelievable from this point because I barely have any Instagram presence. I have stopped posting on Instagram. I don't even know when was the last reel that I have posted. I don't have email lists. I don't do YouTubes. I don't pay ads. I don't call people on my podcast to, borrow the audience. I barely post or say in my podcast, please share my podcast episode, because I just feel that if my message is valuable to you, you will share it with the people who can benefit from it. Sometimes I say in my podcast episode, if this podcast episode was valuable, share it. Not because I want virality, but because I think that we need to help each other like a woman. We need to share valuable things between each other. So basically, in these 2 years, almost no online presence, no ads, no pushing, nothing, literally nothing. Just me and my microphone week after week for 107 podcast episodes. And let me tell you, how am I recording it? Right now, I'm walking inside of my area in front of my cabinet, which is kind of closed and quiet. And usually I record over here because the noise around me is less and the editing process is easier. Sometimes I record it in cabinet, sitting literally inside of it if the house is loud. Sometimes I record it in the car. However I can, I make sure to show up for you and for me week after week. In description of every podcast episode, there is small link to message me. There is link for my Instagram. On my Instagram, there is a link for my email. And I barely, like I said, ever get any kind of messages. But the signal between you and me became statistics. I record, I post, I see 1 download, 2 download, and deep inside, I know somebody is listening. Somebody is resonating with my message. I'm not talking in empty space. Somebody on another side is seeing it like a valuable thing. And over the time, I accepted that that is conversation between you and me. When I post, you press, you listen, and kind of without words, I help you and you help me. This platform means to me so much because it's the space where I can hear myself. It's the place where I share what is on my mind, the things I am analyzing and seeing and understanding about the humans, about the woman. And the fact that you keep coming back week after week became proof of my words. It became something which allows me to live my purpose. I don't know how did my voice travel to 57 countries, 243 cities, and the number goes up day by day. I don't know who shared to who. I don't know who did you send it. I don't know who gave it to you. I don't know how did it reach you. But I know that when the message is from the heart, when the message is authentic, it doesn't need pushing. It doesn't need Instagram tricks. It doesn't need virality. It just needs consistency and authenticity. And every time you have pressed play, you made me feel less alone. And maybe for you on another side, my conversations made you feel the same way, made you feel like, oh my God, how does she know? Oh my God, this is happening to me too. And for me, your play meant she feels it too. She knows what I'm talking about. She felt it on her own skin. She resonates with my message. Over the 2 years, this place became something which is just between you and me. You press play, I get the signal I'm not alone. I publish conversation, you listen and you feel I'm not alone. As much as maybe I helped you to see yourself better, I want to tell you today that you helped me as well. You helped me to feel my signal. You helped me to trust my voice. You helped me to find courage to keep going, keep pushing, keep posting, keep analyzing, keep reading and improving myself so I can bring better conversations every week. And this platform and this relationship between you and me here has showed me that some of the things in life, they don't need to be spoken. They just need to be felt. And I felt close to you in a ways that I cannot even explain. I don't know who you are. I don't know who sent you my podcast. I don't know how did you found it, but I feel so close to you. I feel that every week when I post something, you can find something in my words that resonates with you and your life. And every time you press play, I feel, okay, I'm not alone. I see the things, I name the things, and she has those same things in her life, regardless of flag you live under, regardless of language you speak, regardless of your religion, regardless who is your parents, who is your husband, who is your child, regardless of who you are, you feel the same thing. And then everything boils down to what? We are all women. We are all humans. And humans, we behave similar. We have similar values, similar beliefs. Our life is shaped by the things we learned in our environment, in our society. But deep inside of us, we are built from the same things. And every time when I post podcast episode and I don't get DM or some message, I have accepted your silence and I have accepted to read your presence through statistics, through your downloads, through your dedication to show up week after week for this platform. I have accepted that maybe you are still not ready to come closer, because I completely understand that once we come closer, once we say, I see this too, I feel this too, then we have to do something about it. We have to take responsibility of changing something. Like I always say, once we see it, we cannot unsee it. Once we see it, we have to change it. And I completely understand that maybe you are still not ready to come closer, to go in description of my podcast, find that link, send me the message, go on my Instagram, follow me, send me the email. And I completely understand it. And I accept that small signal between you and me, that exchange when you press play and I post something. And I will keep posting, I will keep publishing conversations for you to listen, for you to find wisdom inside of it. And as long as you wish, you can stay in silence behind the play. And if ever you decide to come closer, you know where to find me. Lately, I have been thinking a lot about what do I do now? Okay, 243 cities, it's not little number. What will happen if I actually create structure where people can find me easier? And I am reconsidering lately to start using online platforms in a better way, to start creating more content so the woman can find me, because you were my first signals. You were the first people who show me your message matters, your voice matters. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be polished. It can be just spoken in the cabinet with a small microphone in the car while you're waiting for your son to pick him up from school. We're just waiting for your voice. We are not invested in thinking, was it the perfect equipment? Did she do it perfectly? Was her English perfect? We just want to hear your voice every Sunday. So because of that, lately I'm thinking to increase my online presence, to be visible to the people beyond this podcast. And this is what happens when we slowly stretch our capacity to hold discomfort. If you take a look at my journey, you will see that I started blog, which is basically just hidden words. Then I went into podcast in Bosnian. Again, small cup of people, just my country. Then I went on English slowly. So step by step, I was stretching my capacity to hold discomfort. And now I reached the point where I feel like I need to stretch myself a little bit more beyond this podcast. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know when I'm going to start, but I am in the process of thinking, how do I do it to stay authentic to myself, to my family, to my life? How do I do it and not allowing that trends and social media things swallow me. On the end, for me, the most important thing is that I stay true to myself, that I stay authentic, that I stay who I am, and that my message to you stays the same. And if you ever feel like you want to come closer, if you ever feel like you want to say, I see that too, or maybe this podcast episode helped me, or if maybe you would like to hear my opinion about some certain topics, if you would like me to record podcast episode about some certain thing which is bothering you, you can go in description of every podcast episode. There is a link to send me private message. There is link to my Instagram. On Instagram you can text me. There is link for my email. You can come closer. You can ask me. You can send ideas for the podcast episode. I will be more than happy to talk to you, to get to know you better. And if you are still not ready for that step, then I still accept this little exchange between you and me. I record and you press play. And until the next time, I wish you beautiful rest of the day, like always. See you. Bye.